All right, so every customer that hears about your business, whether that's from an ad or a referral or a yard sign, they'll most likely look you up online before calling. So, whatever they can find online will essentially affect how they view your company. So, if your website looks old or confusing or you don't have one yet, they might just move on to the next company that feels like a better option. So, websites aren't really optional anymore, they're pretty much just the standard expectation. So, in this video, we're going to be walking through the exact website blueprint you can use for your local service business. We're going to show you the most common mistakes to avoid. We're going to go through an example website so you can see what the layout actually looks like. And then we're going to explain how a simple website is actually better than a really complex one. So starting out with that, simple versus complex. So for local service businesses, you don't really need anything too fancy. So you just need something that functions properly. But people are used to looking at websites, and the ones that convert the best actually have like the most generic layout. And this is because it just feels familiar to the customer. So fancy websites with a ton of stuff happening actually push people away because it's confusing. It's just hard for customers to actually use it. Okay, so jumping right into the website. So the hero section is this section right here. This is a really important part of your website because it's the first thing that people see. So it carries a lot of weight. And now I'm going to kind of go over the structure of the hero section and the kind of the most common mistakes and what to do instead. So for the headline, most business owners will get this wrong because they will describe what they do. Like they'll say landscaping services, or sometimes they'll just put home or something like that. But your headline needs to focus on your customer's desire or the problem that you're going to solve for them. Okay, and this is going to hit on the emotional buy-in. So if we look right here, if a homeowner is going to hire like a landscaping company or like a lawn service, they want a beautiful yard without doing the work themselves. So that's what we have for a headline right here. Okay, and then the sub headline is where you can explain how you actually deliver on that promise. Okay, this is where you get more specific about what you actually do. Okay, so right here you can read, this is how the landscaping company is going to give their customer that result. Okay, then after that you're going to want a call to action button or a CTA button, and a lot of people will get this wrong because they aren't specific enough. Okay, it says something vague like contact us or learn more, but the reason that isn't effective, like the reason why that doesn't work, is because people don't know what's going to happen once they click that button. It's not specific enough. People want to kind of know what comes next. So you want to be specific, like schedule a quote or something like that. And then the next thing you want to have is a photo. And a lot of people will put a picture of themselves or something like that, but the picture needs to showcase the end result, like why they're there. They need to see that. Okay, it's not just about your company yet. So right here we can see a yard that's been upkept pretty much. So once you land on this website, you can see exactly, you're in the right place pretty much, it feels like. You can also put a quote form on the hero section, but this you don't have to. A lot of people do it wrong. We'll explain how to do it right later in the video. All right, so after that first hero section, you can now start talking about yourself in the About Us section. So this is where you introduce yourself and your team and kind of put a face to the company and just bring in some human touch. So right below the hero section, you can say whatever you want, and then you can also add a picture, and this can be a professional picture or literally you guys just in the trenches, doing your work. Okay, and then the next section after that is going to be the service section. So for this section, we're going to follow the 80% rule. So if we see right here, services section, you don't have to list out like every single one of your services. You can just keep it tight, and what the kind of rule of thumb is, you use the services that make up the bulk of your business. So the services that bring in about 80% of your revenue. Okay, and ideally you would say a little bit about each service, but then you'd have buttons here that link out to specific pages just about that service, so you can talk more specifically about it. All right, so after this services section, you can just throw in some pictures of you and your company, any basically projects that you're completing and stuff like that. And then after that, after you throw in some pictures, then you can show testimonials. And then the key here is to try to showcase reviews that like handle objections or talk about a solved pain point or mention the dream result that people want, and kind of just choose reviews that are powerful. If you don't have one of those like widget things that scroll through all the reviews, you want to keep your reviews short. No one wants to read an essay of text. And then also you can see how you want to include
a picture of the customer if you can. It just brings in that human touch. And then for visual purposes, include the 5-star just to, emphasize that it's a review.
So after the review section, you want to put in a section that kind of goes over your process. So a lot of people will actually break down the specific steps that they take to deliver their service. And this is wrong because your customers, they're not experts like you are in the trade that you do. And they don't understand the specifics, so it's not really going to do anything for them. They don't really care about how you're going to do what you are going to do. And so instead, what you want to do is you want to think of the process from their perspective. You want to break it down from their point of view. So you want to start with step 1 is going to be the first step that they have to take to start working with you. So as you can see here, it's going to be schedule a quote. That's the first thing that they have to do in order to start working with you. And just this would like match the button. Okay, so whatever they have to do on the website would be step number 1. And then step number 2 is going to be pretty much all the work that you do. So you're kind of just taking all the messy stuff out of their hands when you do this. So right here, you can see it's like schedule a quote. And then step 2 is we do all of the work, everything that you would do. And then you kind of just keep it simple and concise so that they can understand it. And then step number 3 is going to be enjoy the outcome, enjoy the reason you're going to work with us, pretty much summing up the whole thing, keeping it super simple. And this is just kind of keep their mind kind of at bay instead of getting them all worked up.
All right, so the next section is frequently asked questions. So if you get a lot of the same questions, you can address them here. And then also a big part of this is you want to be able to handle objections like proactively. So think about like the 5 to 6 things that would hold people back from working with you, then write them down as questions and then address them with your answers. So after this section here, you can throw in any of the main questions that you get, answer them, but also throw in those objections and then, kind of address them. So if people do have those objections, they can see how you handle it.
Okay, so after the FAQ section, you're going to have one final section, one last chance for them to reach out. So this is called your call to action section. You can kind of just have a title as a question, like ready to get started, and then list your phone number, your contact info. And this is where you could put a quote form. So a lot of people will, on their websites, the quote form will just get ignored. No one will fill it out. And that's because people don't know what is going to happen when they submit it. They don't know where their information is going. They don't know how long it's going to take or how you're going to reach out. So what we do here is we keep the questions to a minimum, just decrease the friction. But as you can see right here, it says your message goes straight to my phone. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So they know that whatever they submit here, their message is going to go to the owner and it's going to be on their phone as a text. And another thing we do is the button here, we title it as send. So it feels kind of like you're sending this as a text and you're not just submitting it to sit somewhere. So if you want to do a quote form, this is how you should do it. So yeah, you can rewatch this video, get your website built, but you're still going to need a couple more things to make sure that you're not losing leads to a weak online presence. So watch this next video where we show you the 5 adjustments you can make on your Google business profile so you don't look like a fly-by-night company. We'll show you the exact recipe that gets customers leaving reviews, and then we'll also show you the one thing that your competitors are getting wrong on social media and how to stand out instantly. So once you see this, you'll be able to create a professional online presence that makes people feel like you're one of the best options in town.